these specializations first of all. Now, a lot of people, rather, a lot of students, I see they have a problem as far as the specialization is concerned. Now, there are 4 specializations as far as your SP Jain is concerned. Number 1 is the information system. Number 2, you can put it as operations. So I'm just going to put in ops out here. Number 3 is going to be the traditional one, that's marketing one. And then you have number 4, that's the finance. Now, the problem is that how do you fill this specialization? Remember one thing, your form matters a lot as far as your profile based calls are concerned. So if you're somebody who's got a good profile, you don't really want to screw up as far as your form filling is concerned. So you got to be very, very, very careful as far as your form filling is concerned. Now, whom should be filling up information system and whom should be filling up the operations one? So there is no hard and fast rule that says that you have to fill in ops and how to fill in IS and all that. It's just that if you are an engineer, both the options are pretty much open for you: operations, information system, and marketing. I would kind of will say that do not kind of go for finance as if you're an engineer, because the moment you say that you're an engineer and you want to pursue finance, people start raising their eyebrows, because nowadays in the market people are not quite comfortable. Though engineers are ruling the finance world, no doubt about that, and it's one of the preferred domain that engineers really want to get into. And if you look at the field that I come from, investment banking, right? A lot of people, like around about 70 to 80% folks are there are engineers, plus the the IME, which is folks and all the stuff, right? Now, the point is that why you should not be filling up a specialization which doesn't have any kind of a synergy as far as your area of graduation is concerned. Now, there is nothing wrong you to be bold enough and kind of fill it up. If you're an engineer and you want to do finance, you got to have a really, really winning answer with you. You have to have an extraordinary answer to convince the panelists that why do you really want to get into finance? Because the moment you say that you are an engineer, you want to get into finance, or maybe you're a pharma guy, or maybe you're a BCA guy, or maybe you're an IT guy, and you want to get into finance wherein there is no synergy, guys, you are actually inviting a lot of questions as far as the domain is concerned. So my take on this would be, at least for your form filling, keep it something which has a good synergy between what you have done and what you intend to do. For example, engineer and operations management, awesome. Engineer and information system, that's still okay. Marketing is still okay, because a lot of engineers do give it a shot to the marketing. Anyways, this is something I'll be covering in the PI and all that stuff. But finance, stay away from finance. You can put in IS or operations as of now, and once you get into the B school, once you get selected by SP Jain, then you can definitely go and do the finance. Nobody will stop you at that point in time. Once you are inside, you can do anything that is as far as specialization is concerned. Now, as far as BCom guys are concerned, or commerce guys are concerned, BBA guys are concerned, BMS guys are concerned, it's always good to put in marketing and finance. But always remember, a lot of people do this mistake that they put marketing also and they put finance also. And now these both the things, if you look at this, both the things are actually contradicting each other, because one side you say that you want to do marketing, and the other side you're saying that you also want to do finance. It means there is no clarity of thoughts, to be very honest, right? You are like pretty confused. There is no coherent strategy as far as your mentality is concerned. So guys, do not try to do this. Marketing and finance are like opposite. Now, where can this be a good idea to put in? If you are an entrepreneur, if an entrepreneur, they can definitely go for marketing and finance, because as an entrepreneur, you can say that marketing is one of the important aspect of the growth of the business. Now, you do marketing because you want to make money. And then you say you want to get into finance because now you want to handle this money. Now you want to handle the cash flow. You want to understand the fund flow management. You want to understand how the capital has been raised. You also want to understand how the capital budgeting has been raised. All these things are required as far as an entrepreneur is concerned. As far as marketing is concerned, you can also say that, as an entrepreneur, I want to understand how the market has been segmentized. Like, okay, how to kind of, read my competitors, how to kind of make marketing strategies, how to kind of, get well versed with the digital media. So and so forth, right? So as far as the entrepreneur is concerned, marketing and finance can go hand in hand. People will not be questioning you a lot. But if you are not somebody who is an entrepreneur, then I will not advise you to put marketing. You can either put marketing and go with IS or operations, or you can either go put in finance, or you can go with operations. Now I'll give an example of a commerce guy. So say a commerce guys, right, or a BCom or BB or whatsoever. You can put it in operations, or you can put in finance as the number 1, and you can put in operations as number 2. Now, for the fact you're a BCom guy, BBA guy, BMS guy, or whatsoever, right? For the fact you have studied the finance in your, college level, it is fairly understood that you have a fair idea as far as finance is concerned. Now, why do you want to get into operations? Now, that may be a question. If you look at a lot of IT companies in India, around about 50% plus revenue that they earn, they actually make it from BFSI sector. So somebody like you who have already got a good knowledge on the finance front can actually join back the IT companies, or can actually join back the banking operations, can join the investment banking operations, can join any NBFC operation. So here is a good synergy actually. So you have already done finance as far as your graduation is concerned. Now you can now either you want to go and continue that if you've given a chance. If you don't get through finance, your second option is operations, wherein already you have technicalities of finance. Now you want to go with the operations, right? So this is how you can convince them. It's not only finance and operations, you can also convince them for the IS. Now let's take an example of information system or operations management. Now let's talk about a company called a GE. Okay, I'm not sure if you guys have looked into SP Jain profile or not, but GE is one of the best recruiter. It's one of the fantastic recruiter that SP Jain has. It's very important for you guys that you should know what are the recruiters coming on the campus. So GE, though it's a little fucked nowadays, there are a lot of problems going around GE, but GE gives a profile called as IMLP. GE gives a profile called as IMLP. That's International Management and Leadership Program, wherein GE hire people from operations or the information system or finance and marketing, and what they do is they kind of put them into the different sector. To get this more information on this thing, you can actually see my video on SP Jain profile based calls. So I have actually explained over there in quite detailed manner, right? So I'm not going to reiterate this again, but then yeah. So GE can pick up a person who is an engineer and has done the operations, or a BCom guy has done operations or finance, but give them the verticals of, the aviation industry, or maybe GE Capital, or maybe GE Healthcare, whatsoever. So these kind of things will help you for the operations perspective or for the consulting perspective, that a finance guy and then the operations guy, or maybe an engineer who has done the engineering, maybe chemical, civil, whatever, like bio and all that, and they better not to pursue operations or information systems. So guys, whenever you are actually filling up your form, make sure that you are like very careful as far as your specialization is concerned. Because if there is a disconnect between what you want to do and the kind what you have done, and what you want to do in future as far as your specialization is concerned, this is not a good news for you. Now let's move ahead. Now let's try and understand what you have in the form. So yeah, so this is all about a specialization, operations, IF, that's information management. We can call it a system also, that's not a problem, and finance. So you can put it out here. You can give the reason out here that why do you want to go ahead with this. Graduation in the related area, relevant work experience, specialized course or special interest in this field. So say somebody who has done the engineering, okay, and want to put in here as marketing, okay. Then you need to kind of explain out here. Then you need to kind of fill this thing out here, that why do you really want to get into marketing. Now I'm not going to get into the detail of this, but I can only quickly tell you with the constraint of the time, that if an engineer want to get into the marketing, what kind of answer that he can frame for this. So let's say marketing, okay. So you can say that I have already done with I'm an engineer. I've already done with an engineering for around of 4 years. Throughout my engineering, I've been technically well versed with the domain. So I've been more of a technical guy. I've done the coding. I've been to the IT company as a work ex, and I've done the testing. I have done a lot of things. Blah blah blah. You can talk about that stuff. And then you can say that for the fact I worked with the IT companies, or for the fact I'm a fresher, I had already done the technical stuff. Now I don't see myself doing the same thing again and again, right? So if you're a fresher, you can say that I don't see myself now getting into the technicalities. That's the reason I want to do an MBA. That's number one. If you're a work ex guy who has done the coding or testing or whatsoever, now also you don't want to get into the same thing and you don't want to move ahead with the technicalities. Now you're changing your focus towards management. Now you can say that it's a deadly combination for the fact that I understand, say, language. Like I'm not an IT guy, so I don't really know much about it. I'm just trying to help you guys, as far as whatever knowledge I have. So I have done the coding, I know the languages like, Java, .NET, C++, and all the stuff. For the fact I have the technicalities, now I want to move the ladder up. I want to get into the marketing. I want to kind of represent my company. So I want to be in the front-end role. I want to be in the front-end role. Now, if you look at the front-end role of the IT companies, these are the guys that are called as business developments, or these are the guys who are called as the consultants. So these guys, so say if you're working with the Infosys, right, you have a project, there is a company out here. So there is a company somewhere in, say, US and all this stuff. Now they want to give you a project, okay, and that project requires coding or languages and all that stuff. For the fact you already know the languages, yeah, and you have done the MBA in marketing, right? So you have that knack of talking to client, you have that knack of doing the market analysis, you have that knack of kind of understanding the competition. So you can use your technical knowledge to kind of bring the client on board. This is what you can tell them. Okay, fine, I've done enough of technicalities now in my life, but I want to now move the ladder up. I see myself at the front end of the company. That's the reason I've chosen marketing. So that's how you can write it out here. Though engineer has nothing to do with the marketing, that's how you can write it as far as your area of interest is concerned and as far as this white box out here is concerned. Now the other question that come in mind is that is it really a good idea to kind of write these things out here, and rather than just writing what is so this is an engineer guy, I've taken his form, rather than putting it just I am on the operations. Now there are ways to look at it. Okay, number one, if you're an engineer, you have a plain vanilla form which is like option the I don't need any kind of an explanation out here. Okay, I have understood, it's done and dusted, it's understood. Okay, but now as an engineer, say if I write marketing out here, okay, if I write marketing out here, then I have to fill this form out here. Now when I fill this form out here, I'm going to write a couple of things out here, right? Because of which the guy who's actually checking your form, he will give it a thought. Okay, why this guy want to do a marketing, or why this guy want to do an operations management? He's a BCom guy. I think that's where the kind of the doubt comes in the mind, and that's where the guys give it a shot or give it a little bit thought to your candidature, to your form. They try to read your form. Okay, why this guy want to get into marketing? Yes, finance, if you have a really solid reason, then only you go for it. Other finance is like it's a two-edged sword. It can kill you, right? So that's how I think it's a good idea to kind of put something into awkward, mention your interest. And whenever you mention your interest, I always tell my students that guys, you have to write bullet points. You have to write points which can open a conversation, or you got to write open-ended points. So I'll give an example. A couple of my students, right, I've told them to write certain points like learning the strategic management, want to be at the middle of the company in 5 years down the line, because marketing is the vital part of a company and it has to come with the strategy part. So that's number one. Number two, I want to get into the product management. I want to get into the branding. I want to get into the digital media, or I want to get into the the product positioning. Just write these jargons. Now what happens when you write these jargons? Let's say the product positioning, right? If you are a BCom guy, if you have studied this, you can very well understand what I'm saying. So product positioning, who's talking this? An engineer who's talking about this, right? Now the moment this guy sees in product positioning, he's going to ask you a question in the interview. Okay, what do you mean by product positioning? Then you start, okay, you know what, product positioning means this. So this is not a monotonous thing, right? This is something is going to open a conversation. So this is going to involve a dialogue between you and a panel, and that's where panel gets the opportunity to actually understand you in a detailed manner. If you just put in operations management and information management, for the fact that I know somebody says, I'm a BCom guy, I've done marketing in my school, right? So I'm a BCom guy, I've taken the major as marketing, so I understand marketing, you put in it, that's okay. You've understood the financial management and kind of accounting, that's okay, you have put in finance. Now I'm not really interested in understanding your candidature. I don't have any thought in my mind, this kind of an application is not provoking me to call you on the campus, or this is not something provoking me to select you, give you a profile based call you on the campus and ask you. Right? So it's sometimes good to kind of put these things, but guys, you got to be very smart ass when you put these things, because this may backfire you. So be very careful, if you kind of gonna put this up. Okay, now let's move ahead and try to understand what do we have next. So we have these awards and positions and all that. See guys, this is nothing great as such. You can put the awards, whatever awards that you have. Okay, so these are all the academic awards. Okay, so now awards can be classified into the national level, international level, domestic level, city level, ZP level, whatever that you have done, right? Just put in all the awards that you have, just put it. Like if you have gone for scholarship and all that, see, scholarship and all that is not actually an award, but you don't really want to, keep this blank if you have got this scholarship, like maybe by your by higher college, or maybe by your school, or maybe by your senior college, whatever you have, like because scholarship is also an award, guys. So you want to put in that you were eligible for the scholarship and you actually got the scholarship. So you guys can kind of do that. So you can put those kind of things, scholarships and all that. If you have gone for the Olympiads, right? So if you've gone for the Olympiad competition and all that, you can actually put that. If there is any competition which requires the intellectual ability, and if you have participated in that, you can actually say that you participated in that. You may not be having a certificate for it, but yeah, I think it's okay to kind of put that up. Like if you have a participation certification, then I don't think there is any problem. But then yeah, as far as your awards are concerned, then I think you can go ahead and fill that up. Now, versatility. Now let me just have a quick look at this kind of thing, and let me just kind of try to help you on this. Alright, so versatility, I think it's a very good point to kind of put across your candidature in a very smart way. So in total, I think you can put in the 5 activities. I think these are more than enough. Now, my sincere advice to you is that if you're a WorkX guy, okay, and if you have worked for like a company, like maybe for a year plus, then I think it's always good to kind of put versatility as far as your working things are concerned, because that gives a good impression. And if you're a fresher, then I think you should be going back and kind of putting across your academical versatility. Now, let's talk about the WorkX responsibility. Now, WorkX responsibility has to do with anything. Like it can be a project, okay, it can be a team management, it can be anything. Now, if you are an IT guy, you can probably talk about versatility in a lot of aspects. Maybe you can talk about meeting the service level agreement for your process. You can talk about turnaround time. You can talk about Six Sigma. You can talk about quality management. You can talk about a lot of stuff, like maybe you have done, you have saved cost for a company, okay? Maybe you have done something, maybe you have made or developed a program, or maybe you have developed a macro, which can reduce job of 2 people, right? Or which may give your company profit into dollar, or maybe it help your client to kind of reduce the cost. Anything that you have done as far as your versatility is concerned, rather your section is concerned. So anything that you have done in your office, at your workplace, you should be putting it up. See guys, versatility is a point. This is going to be very important. See, everybody who's filling up the SP Jain form, it is not necessary that everybody is a geek out there. It is everybody's like Einstein out there. But guys, the point is that how do you kind of still fight for it and put these things across? You never know, like they're checking your attitude, because everybody is not going to be somebody out there, right? Maybe like somebody is nobody, but then again, like you have to put in your candidature very strongly, right? So you can do any damn thing. Like maybe you were head of the cultural committee for your process, or maybe in your company. Maybe you have taken some initiative for your company, maybe something to do with the women empowerment, something to do with the cleaning, something to do with the any kind of a government scheme, or maybe you have volunteered yourself with the NGO. Any goddamn thing that you have done in your life, you can actually go ahead and you can write it about it. As far as your academics is concerned, again, any cultural event that you have taken, maybe you have worked with an NGO called as ISEC, or maybe you have worked with CRY, or any kind of a social activity that you have done, any kind of a participation that you have done, anything that you have done, as far as this thing is concerned, just put it there, right? Just put it there and describe something about it. Now, I think whenever you work, rather whenever you put about your WorkX, right, always try to write the impact. So in this column, right, just don't say that I worked, I did this and did that. Try to put the impact, rather try to quantify that impact. Yeah, you should make a mention about those things, that those monies that you kind of saved. If you started at early stage of your job, and if your seniors were leaving, right, then you shouldered the responsibility of kind of doing the team management, writing the SOPs, talking to the clients without the training and everything. So these are the things that you can put in your form, right? That it was not your role, but you had to kind of go ahead with it. So you can show the versatility in your job, right? Say for example, maybe you are a tester, or maybe you're a coder, right? But then you worked on the quality management. Then maybe you were working on the mentoring the new people joining your team. Rather, you can say that, or maybe you were developing some SOPs for your team, or maybe you were developing a knowledge management doc. There are a lot of KPOs out there. They have this kind of things, wherein they say that it's a knowledge management doc, wherein they kind of, make a note of the tacit knowledge. So anything that right, anything that you have done, just try to put it out there. It's going to help you, that's for sure. So always remember that it should be impact. It should give an impact. Now, if you have worked with a client, say if you have a client which is G, right, you can say that you worked for a multi-billion-dollar company, right? Let them understand, see, because they also know that you worked for a client. But here what I'm trying to understand is, as an MBA, are you really smart ass? Because everybody's writing that, what, I worked for a client, I worked for a G, but Are you smart enough to put the same information, rather position the same information in a different way? That's what they are looking at. So yeah, you can put those multi-billion dollar, all that stuff, just to kind of, make it look a little bit better. Yeah. So these are the things that you can try to take care of. Always remember, show your work. That's it, what you've done. And now next. Now, I forgot one point out here. So as far as your level is concerned, right, I think here you have to kind of, grade yourself. I would advise you to kind of put it, either put it good or put very good. Do not put outstanding or average. And as far as your overall rating is concerned, I would sincerely advise you to kind of put it good if you're not that good, and put it very good if you feel that you're outstanding. See guys, now some people will tell you that, or some alumnus will tell you that the professors out there are trying to understand how confident you are. But trust me, it's better to be confident than the overconfident, right? The moment you're putting outstanding, it means you're uncomparable, and that's the reason you're going to actually be kind of inviting a lot of questions from these guys that, okay, prove me how the hell you are outstanding in this. So the moment you put it, okay, I am an outstanding guy in this activity, then you have to prove that. Plus you are actually you are actually inviting a lot of questions from your panel. So why do you want to do that? Right? Now people say that, putting a very good is like, demeaning yourself and blah, 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 all that stuff. Guys, trust me, these guys are checking your confidence, but at the same level, they also want to know, how humble you are. So it's good to be confident plus humble rather than an overconfident idiot, right? So kindly take note of these things. A lot of people put it outstanding because they want to kind of, impress the panelists and all that. Please don't fall for all this bullshit. Be smart, little bit. Okay. Now let's go ahead with the responsibility shouldered. Guys, as far as personal responsibilities are concerned, you can talk about any social activity that you have done. You can talk about, anything, any kind of an NGO support that you have done. Or you can talk about your family. But I would advise you to kind of talk about your family a lot, because here I want you to guys kind of give a little bit emotional touch up. See, emotional touch up has to be there in your form, right? That's how you're going to win their hearts, right? So you have to tell them that you have done something. Maybe at a very early stage of life, you had to kind of shoulder your family as far as finances are concerned, as far as the moral duties and the whatever that are concerned, right? So you got the maturity little early stage of your life, when people were enjoying their teenager kind of an age, you were actually working, slogging, making money, and kind of feeding your family. You can kind of make a note of that. But always remember, whatever the responsibilities that you're putting out here, whatever the responsibilities you're going to put out here, make sure that it portrays your personality. And it portrays your personality as a strong person, okay? A person is strong by his will, a person who is an ambitious guy, a person who has the never give up attitude, a person who understands the stuff, a person who has a different approach towards life. So guys, if you're putting it in personal way, rather than writing the social and NGO, because everybody is writing about social and NGO, trust me, out of 10 people here, I'm telling you, around about 8 people on 10, they don't even do this NGO kind of thing. They just put it out there. And now the panelists are so bloody smart. They understand that you have not worked for NGO, buddy. You have gone somewhere else, you have just taken this certification and you're telling us. Because it sounds really cool, right? Now I'll tell you, here is a good thing about this. Okay, now say that you have never gone for any NGO, or you have not connected with any NGO, but you do some social activity. And what is that activity? One of my students got selected last year. So this is what he used to do. What he used to do on Sundays, right? He used to fill the water bottle in Mumbai, and he will go and visit the signals, those like on the highways and all that, and he will feed those water bottles to all the beggars out there, people who need them at the point of summers and all that. So guys, these are the social activities that you have done. And say if you get a call by these guys, right, and if you have uploaded those pics on your Facebook account, you can actually tell them, sir, I have a proof about this, right? It's not necessary that you have to work with the NGO. NGO concept has been now outdated. But yeah, a good idea is to put about your family and kind of bring the emotional touch towards your form, because you've been talking a lot about professional stuff and all that. So it's one of the tactic anyway. Professional and academic, I've already talked about it. Anything that I've done, anything to do with team management, team mentorship, client visit, client management, client engagement, quality management, saving costs for your client, training new folks, anything that you have done as far as maybe if you were anything, like if you participated in the cultural activity of your company, you can put that. Cultural, say, I remember if you have done this kind of a sponsorship, when you were in the college, you can put that up. So anything that you have done, see, maybe right now I'm not able to recollect every damn thing. What you can do is, once the video is done, right, you can actually put a comment onto it. You can ask me, sir, this is what I see. can I put this up in my form, and kind of, I'll get back to you, or you can, WhatsApp me. So guys, I think this is the stuff that I have. I think there is nothing else to be out here. And again, right, whenever you rate yourself, it should be very good or good at the max. Don't go to the outstanding. So guys, short and sweet, just try to fill the form as in a better shape, and if there is anything that I can help you with, put a comment. I will try to my level best to kind of get back to you. Now this is all about your form filling. Okay, I will be starting soon a series which is based on the GDPI VAT case studies and all that. So guys, if you haven't subscribed to my channel, I'm just telling you what's there in the kitty for you guys. So once you're done with the exams, once the results are out, once the these profile based calls and everything is out, I will be conducting some sessions on my YouTube channel. So if you haven't subscribed to my channel, do subscribe for the GDPI thing, also for the GK thing and your exam preparation. Okay, so guys, I think tomorrow is the day after tomorrow is the last day to fill the form. Fill it up, submit it. Thank you so much guys.